Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and every week I take a look at the real estate market in Central Florida, specifically the Villages. For those who don't know, the Villages is a 55 plus community with championship golf courses, executive golf courses, entertainment, live bands playing in 4 town squares. We also have recreation, shopping, dining, and I think over 3,000 social clubs that encompass every interest. If you want to know what's happening with real estate here, this is the channel for you. We take a look both at long-term trends on prices, price per square foot. We look at where activity is in the villages. We've divided it into geographic regions. You can compare prices and sizes between them. And if you want to be informed about what's happening here, this is the show for you. If you find it valuable, please consider liking this video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps us with YouTube. And all this information is fresh as of today. There are a couple of things to note. First, the Villages has two distinct marketplaces, the VLS and the MLS. The MLS is the same marketplace that you see elsewhere in the country. Properties are listed and sold there, but the Villages has their own internal marketplace, the VLS, and this is the only marketplace on which they list new homes for sale. If you own a home in the Villages and you're selling it as a pre-owned home, you have the choice of which of those two marketplaces to list on. If you are a buyer, though, if you only have an agent who's showing you VLS properties, or you only have an agent that's showing you MLS properties, you will only be seeing about half of what is available for sale here. So keep that in mind if you're a buyer, and if you're a seller and you're trying to decide whether to list on VLS or MLS, give me a call and I'll give you some of the advantages to using me. Also, this show is produced every week on Monday from information as of today. Please check the date to ensure you're getting the most recent information. And if you need to reach me, I can be reached either at davidisinflorida@gmail.com or davidisinflorida.com. If you're a buyer and you're looking for a good deal here, I think you'll find that our data-driven approach will give you confidence that you found one. And if you're a seller, I think you'll find that our data-driven approach can justify the highest reasonable asking price. Also, I would like to mention that there are some factors that really I'm not considering in this analysis. Factors like unobstructed views, whether there's a nature area. What I'm doing is looking at properties on a price and a price per square foot basis. That does not capture all of the differences between properties that are available for sale. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at what's happening this week. We start every week by taking a look at what's happening with the yield on the US 10-year note. The mortgage rate most closely tracks this yield, and you can see that ever since the Fed lowered rates in mid-September, bond rates or the cost of money has basically gone straight up. I'm going to demonstrate this for you on this next chart, which is showing you the actual mortgage rate on a 30-year mortgage. Here we have a chart of the 30-year fix, including today, and you can see that the September action by the Fed in lowering rates has actually caused longer-term rates to increase. We're up about 1% from where rates were when the Fed last acted. Well, interest rates are all well and good, whatever effect they may have on real estate prices. The Villages seems to be in something of a bubble. A lot of people still want to move here. But for those who don't know where the Villages is located, I'm going to orient you with these maps. You can see the Villages is located in Central Florida. We're about an hour north of Orlando and about an hour south of Gainesville. And I'm going to zoom in on this map. The map you're looking at is showing you all active listings on the MLS. The size of each dot represents the size of the property, and the color of the dot represents its price per square foot. Every active listing is on this map. The larger the circle, the larger the home, and the darker the circle, the less expensive per square foot. And as I zoom in on Lake Sumter, I'm going to pause the zoom here and switch back and forth between price per square foot and price. And you can see that it is quite evident which properties seem worthy of further attention. Once again, please note that this analysis involving price, price per square foot, etc., does not take into account any of the other factors that I mentioned, such as view and golf course lot, etc. Before I break down the various areas of the Villages, let's look at all listings in total. This week we have a new high number of listings at 530. Last week was also a new high at 529. A year ago there were only 358 active listings at this time of the year. Currently, the lowest price home in the villages is 159,000, same price as it was originally. It has been on the market 80 days. The most expensive home is now 2799. It was 2899, I believe, last week. Originally, it was 2950, and that home has been on the market 133 days. Here's another chart hitting new highs, although it's not positive for sellers here. This is the median time on the market for all active MLS listings. This week, a median 63 days. Last week, 61 days. And last year, only 45 days. 63 days median time on the market is the longest we've seen here. Here's the chart everybody follows. Median listing price per square foot. This week up slightly to 258.76 from 258.24 last week, but a year ago it was 260.81 a foot. Prices really haven't moved here for the last year and a half. Let's now take a look at how I've divided the villages up into four separate geographic regions. The first is the area that I'm calling the North. This is everything south of 42 and north of 466. Once again, the map is showing you all active MLS listings. Size of the circle is the size of the home, and the color of the circle represents its price per square foot. The larger the circle, the larger the home. The brighter the circle, the more expensive per square foot. The North this week has 236 active listings. Last week it had 242. This is the area that I'm calling the Middle North. This is everything south of 466 and north of 466A. This week, 147 active listings. Last week, 155. It's interesting that both the North and the Middle North have fewer listings this week than last week, but the Middle South and the South have more. So we'll start with the Middle South, which is everything south of 466A and north of 44. This week, 75 active listings. Last week, 71. And this is the South, which is everything south of Highway 44. Currently, there are 72 listings. Last week, there were only 61. Now that you have some sense of how I've divided the villages up, let's take a look at how the different areas compare. First, let's look at the entirety of the villages. 530 active listings this week. Smallest 672 square feet, largest 3738, median size 1533, price per square foot ranging from 131 to 749, and prices in the villages this week ranging from 159,000 to just under 2.8 million, with the median priced home at 399. This is the North, 236 active listings. This is the most active area in the villages. Sizes in the North range from 672 square feet to just under 3,000. Per foot ranges from 131 to 395, and prices in the North range from 159,000 to $879,000. This is the Mid-North, 147 active listings, sizes from 1,090 to 3,090 square feet, price 275 to 1,008,000, and per foot range from 206 to 675. This is the Mid-South, 75 active listings, smallest 1,152 square feet, most expensive 2.8 million, per foot ranging from 216 to 749. And this is the South, 72 active listings, 828 square feet, the smallest, 3,260, the largest. Price per square foot in the South ranges from 226 to 536, and the median priced home in the South is $416,000. So let's take a quick look at where these properties are located by price. The first map is all properties under 200,000. There are 8 active properties here. 2 properties went pending in the last 60 days and 3 sold. These are the homes between 2 and 400,000. Once again, the larger the circle, the larger the home, and the brighter the circle, the more expensive per square foot. Obviously, as the price buckets increase, the sizes of the homes will be going up, and so will the price per square foot. This is the $400,000 to $600,000 price range. 175 active listings, 54 pending over the last 60 days, 68 closing. 6 to 800,000, 39 active, 20 went pending, and 15 sold in the last 60 days. 800,000 to a million, 16 active listings, 7 went pending, and 7 sold over the last 60 days. A million to a million and a half, 14 active listings, 2 went pending, and 3 sold. And in the $1.5 million range, there are currently 3 active listings. 1 has gone pending in the last 60 days, and there have been no sales in this price range. Here we look at new listings and homes going pending to see what really happened last week. This is just per 7-day period. Last week, 44 new listings, 42 homes went pending. The previous week, 45 new listings and 31 homes went pending. A year ago, for the same week, there were 40 new listings and 21 homes went pending. And that graph gives rise to this one where we just keep track of the difference between new listings and homes going pending. Prints below the zero line indicate more new listings than homes going pending, and prints above the zero line represent more homes going pending than being listed. This week, 2 more homes were listed than went pending. The previous week, 14 more homes were listed, and the same week a year ago, 19 more homes were listed. And this is probably the biggest shock of the week. This is the price change from the original list price for the homes that went pending last week. The homes went pending at a median 8.45% discount. The previous week was less than half of that at only 3.96, and a year ago was also a lower reduction at only 8.32%. Here we take a quick look at the median price per square foot at which homes went pending last week. 243.46. Previous week was 262.75, and a year ago was $20 higher at 263.61 a foot. Now we look at the homes that actually closed last week, and there was a noteworthy sale, it appears. Last week, 30 sales. The previous week, 35. Same week a year ago, there were also 35 homes closing. The lowest price home that closed last week was $250,000. It was originally priced at $265,000. After 46 days on the market, it closed with a 10% discount. But the highest priced home that closed last week closed for $1,030,000, and it was originally almost $1,500,000. And after 313 days on the market, that seller accepted a 31% discount from their original asking price. There are deals here. You never know unless you try. And despite the big discounts apparently being offered on the homes closing last week, the price per square foot was notably higher than the previous week. $253 a foot was the median for the homes closing last week. Previous week, $232 a foot. Last year, only $244. We'll take a look at sales a little longer. Here we're looking at seasonality. You can see the weeks of the year on the x-axis at the bottom. The red line represents how many sales per week have taken place this year. The green line, how many sales took place for the same week in 2023, and blue line for 2022. Last week, 30 homes closed. The same week in 2023, 35 homes closed. But the same week in 22, only 25 homes closed. If you look at number of sales and number of listings, you can get a rough approximation of weeks of inventory. This week represents almost 18 weeks of inventory. Last week, only 15 weeks of inventory. The same week a year ago was barely over 10 weeks of inventory. And here's a chart that seems to illustrate seller sentiment. This week, the percentage of homes with a price decrease from the original list price increased again. Last week, 53.5% of listings had reduced their asking price. This week, almost 55% have. This is from the original asking price. The same week a year ago, less than 48% of listings had reduced their asking price. And here we look at what the actual decrease is. This week, listings on the MLS have a median reduction from the original asking price of 3.56%, identical to the median reduction that was in effect last week, and slightly improved from the 3.72% median reduction of the same week a year ago. If you're a buyer here in the villages and you're trying to find a good deal, or you're a seller and you're trying to maximize your return, please consider reaching out to me at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com or DavidisinFlorida.com. If you have any questions about life in Florida or life in the villages, or any questions about the villages generally, please reach out to me, DavidisinFlorida.com, DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. I'll be happy to help. Hope to hear from you. Take care.